All right, we're going to get started. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone on Facebook. I'm Graham Dodge. I'm the Executive Director of Magic. We are the community sponsor for 1 Million Cups. I'm joined today by my fellow organizers who you can't see. Well, you guys can see. I'm used to talking on Zoom, so it's weird. It's different now. And basically, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming out. Thank you to Jeannie Bird Bakery for providing the coffee today, and to Furnace Hills Coffee for being our coffee sponsor up to this point, and hopefully moving forward as well. So we can't have enough community and coffee sponsors as far as we're concerned. So thank you to both Jeannie Bird and to Furnace Hills. In fact, Furnace Hills still has a discount for anyone who's involved and comes out to these meetings. You get 25% off your entire online order at furnacehillscoffee.com with the discount code 1MC Westminster, all one word. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Julius Knapp, who is going to tell you more about the 1 Million program, 1 Million Cups program specifically. Thank you.
Please, everyone sit.
Yeah, have a seat.
Yep. Chairs up front.
All right.
Look at the motion.
I know. All right, so I'll say good morning to everyone here and to everyone on Facebook. And welcome to 1MC Westminster. We certainly had a great time last time hearing about air agility and social media Sherpa. But before we get into today's presenters, I'm just going to go over what we're all about here at 1MC Westminster. So our mission is to lower the barrier for access to education, resources, and connections for entrepreneurs. Without the pillars in our core program, this mission cannot be accomplished. So what are our pillars? We're looking for presentations, not pitches. We really want to get to know your business and the challenges that your business faces so that we can connect you with the resources, all the resources we have in our community. We're looking for connection, not networking, and we're for the community and by the community. We really have a great community here at 1MC Westminster. We've heard from technologists, agriculturalists, nonprofits, so we have a lot of resources here. Nobody has ownership of 1MC Westminster. Nobody should be paid to do 1MC Westminster, and we are radically and intentionally inclusive. It's really everyone here of every background that makes this all possible. We meet every week, Wednesdays at 9 a.m., in case you didn't know. We have 2 presenters whenever possible. Presenters organization should be less than 5 years old and willing to ask for help. We always end with the question, what can we as a community do to help you? And here's our organizers. Graham Dodge, who you just met, Russ Hammett, Val Giovanni, John Wheatman, Tina Thomas, myself, Julius Knapp, and Gabby Rose. And if you're interested in learning more about our community and how we can help you become a member, please let us know.
All right, so we'll get started with Willet Family Farm. Jeremy, I suppose you want the video first?
That's great. Let's do the video. Yeah. Thanks, man.
And we might need the remote handy for volume in case. Oh, here. No, the other one. The TV remote.
The tallest structure on our farm is this windmill, constructed in 1874. And it quickly became the logo for
Oh, what did I just do? Hold on.
No, I'd rather watch Jeremy than
Technical
the news. Thank you.
difficulties.
Yes, technical difficulties.
What did I just do?
So this is what we get for going live
chooses
again.
to do so, and if the vote passes, include Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Sorry.
Yeah, when all else fails, power
Hold on.
cycle. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
To this committee. Back to you.
Okay, McCarthy's list, much different.
windmills working better.
There we go.
Yeah, I do know that. All right, take 2. Take 2.
The tallest structure on our farm is this windmill, constructed in 1874. And it quickly became the logo for our business because a windmill is something that harnesses power for a specific purpose. For my grandfather and my great-grandfather, they used this windmill to harness the power of the wind, to grind grain and to pump water. But now in the 21st century, Willet Family Farm hopes to harness the power of agriculture that's so rich in our county to benefit every member of our community. I'm Jeremy from Willet Family Farm. I was born in Carroll County in 1985, and I grew up on the outskirts of our family farm. Unfortunately, following the death of a family member, I watched as our farm had to be sold outside of the family. When I graduated from Carroll Community College, I started my career in the music industry and had the opportunity to travel to over 22 different countries around the world and 48 of the 50 states. But then I did something that not a lot of people do from this county. I moved back. And I moved back to buy back the farm. Unfortunately, in 2017, we lost the farmhouse to a terrible fire, and our family found ourselves with just the clothes on our back. But this experience actually drew us closer to our neighbors as we watched as members of our community rallied around our family, making sure that we had everything we needed. Later that summer, I was given this really unique opportunity to travel to Mozambique, Africa, to learn from a community of African farmers who were practicing sustainable agriculture. While I was there was no running water or no electricity, and we ate only one meal a day. But I also learned that there was a funeral every day, and these deaths were being caused by the water that the children had to drink. When I left that village, I knew that I had to do something about what I was seeing. You see, Willet Family Farm is on 200 acres that's owned by our family and preserved in agriculture. And we produce things like vegetables and fruit and poultry, and we make it available on a unique pay-what-you-can model to ensure that every member of our community has access to nutritious food, whether they can pay for it or not. We also put on agritourism events and farm stays. In fact, here are a few quotes from recent guests that we've had to our farm. In the past year, we've welcomed over 200 guests from 9 different states and 2 different countries. Most of these are families, the adults with their kids, who come to help collect eggs and hold the rabbits and watch the horses in the pastures, but then help collect firewood and sleep under the stars. In addition, we promote local businesses right here in Carroll County, connecting tourists to our local economy. And finally, all of our events are in partnership with Child Fund International, where we give our guests an opportunity to invest in sustainable agriculture all over the world. In January of 2020, I was able to go back to that same village in Mozambique to see a new clean water well that our family farm helped fund for all of the children there. Willet Family Farm hopes to be the windmill that harnesses the power of agritourism in Carroll County, Maryland. We are a local farm with a global impact. And we proudly make our home in Carroll County, Maryland.
Thanks, guys. Hey, my name's Jeremy from Willet Family Farm, and we produced and released this video a year ago, and we're really happy to say that since that time, we went on to be recognized by Outside Magazine for being the #1 hip camp site in the state of Maryland. And we accomplished that because we have now welcomed over 300 guests from 14 different states and 2 different countries, even in the middle of a pandemic. And what we love so much about this is that we're able to take those guests that come to the farm to show their kids where eggs come from and help us collect those eggs in the morning from the chickens, or help us pull weeds in our organic garden, or go for trails throughout our fields. But then we invite those guests to go and promote our local businesses right here in Westminster. And that has provided tremendous opportunities for us to be able to connect with our neighbors and support friends that we absolutely love here. And in addition to that, as you saw through the video, we have a partnership with Child Fund International. We like to say that we're a local farm with a global impact. And so as people come to our farm and interact with the products that we produce, we try to educate them about needs globally. The fact that while here in America we often have this discussion about like how our food is grown and the nutritional value and who's invited to the table there, we find all over the world where children are growing up in situations of hunger and are dying because of hunger-related diseases who never got even invited to the table. And so we try to take our resources and our experiences and tell people about those needs and then do something about it. And since this video came out, as you saw, we got to go back and see a brand new clean water well that we funded in Mozambique. It serves every single member of that community and literally changes lives every single day. And then just completed, we're actually getting photos this week. We were able to fund the construction of a new school in that same village. And so kids now, as things begin to open back up in that community, will actually have a school building to go to. The alternative used to be kind of a thatch roof with a dirt floor, which when I was there in Mozambique, I remember watching the teachers draw out the lesson plans on the dirt floor there for the kids. So a major shift happening in this one small community in Mozambique, which was funded by this one small community right here in Westminster, which I think is pretty awesome. Also, in the last year, since participating in the Carol Biz Challenge, we were able to take that money and invest it in brokering a major partnership between Hip Camp, which is like Airbnb for camping, and bridge this partnership between Hip Camp and the Maryland Farm Bureau. In the state of Maryland, there's over 12,000 farm owners, and in Carroll County alone, over 1,000 farm owners. And so what we have done is brokered a deal that provides financial resources for farm owners and creates new revenue streams by utilizing their private land for camping, and also helps support Maryland Farm Bureau, which is a nonprofit organization. Our dream was never to just kind of own this idea and make all this profit by having camping on our farm, but rather to extend that revenue opportunity throughout the county and throughout the state. And so just last month, that partnership was announced, and we are every single day signing up farmers across the state of Maryland to benefit from this amazing resource, help people in America to get outdoors, and to provide opportunities for them to connect with their local business. And then finally, the latest thing that we're up to is we are starting the Mid-Atlantic Coalition of the Young Farmers Network, which is this opportunity to connect with other young farmers in the region and to address things like systemic racism in our county, to address things like an access of or lack of access to nutritious food amongst minority communities, and also to imagine a new way of doing agriculture through regenerative agriculture versus just the traditional methods. And so we are part of organizing this group to be able to address all of these issues, starting right here in Carroll County and then spreading throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. And as always, with an emphasis on helping people all over the world through it. So thank you so much. I'm Jeremy from Willet Family Farm.
Stay there, Jeremy, because now we have our Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We got about 15 minutes of Q&A, 10, 15 minutes. So anybody has questions, and we have people on Facebook too who may have comments. Oh, people are tuning in from Ocean City, they're saying.
Yeah.
So anybody here have questions for Jeremy? All right, go ahead, Tina.
So what are your current challenges? It sounds like you've accomplished a lot, and that's awesome. I can't wait to talk to you about some ideas that I have.
Thank you.
But what are your challenges? What are you looking to, aspiring to do next, and how can the 1 Million Cups community help you?
Thank you. Great question. We have several challenges, honestly. The one is that everybody on our family farm is still multi-career. It's been a long time in our family's history that we've had full-time farmer. And so one of our dreams is to be able to provide full-time income for one of the family members to be able to farm. We have a lot of the equipment now, invested a lot into the land and into the fields, but want to be able to pull at least one family member out of their other career and be able to invest full-time, because we think that could help us grow exponentially. So we're looking at different models and also grant opportunities there. The second thing is just navigating the regulations from the county. And Carroll County has been tremendous to work with, actually, in exploring some of these agritourism opportunities. But one of the things we're up against is that a lot of the code that was written that helps define agritourism in the county was written about 200 years ago. And so that was before things like Airbnb and HipCamp, obviously, right? And so the county is, holding to this code that was written, but they can't change it. They just have to facilitate it. But the state of Maryland has recognized agritourism as a major sector of agriculture, which we love. And they really encourage farm owners to promote agritourism, to benefit from it, to expand it. And then when it gets to the county level, it becomes restricted. So a lot of what we are working on is actually changing policy in Carroll County. Next month, I meet with the county commissioners and have proposed a complete overhaul of the county code that addresses camping on private land specifically, asking them to be able to expand it. The current code basically says that a landowner, no matter how many acres, from 5 acres to 1,000 acres, can host one campsite and one sleeping unit only. So before understanding all these regulations, we were opening a new campsite on our 200-acre collective every single week and selling it out. Last 4th of July, I remember looking throughout our farm and seeing 7 different campfires of families just having a blast, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Again, being able to be spread out outdoors, enjoying a campfire under the stars. This year, we are restricted to one family and one tent, and if there's a second tent, we get shut down. So those are some of the things that we're up against. As you can imagine, the revenue loss from where we were last year at $50 a night for a campsite, going from operating 7 almost nightly through the warm season down to 1, really impacts the revenue stream. That also has implications to all of our partners in local businesses, breweries that we promoted, restaurants, bakeries, and stores. All of those feel the economic impact of not having those tourists come that we're used to coming over the past year. And finally, I would say, which is even a harder issue because it's an issue of the heart, which takes a long time to address. And that is, I grew up here my whole life, as you saw in the video. And Carroll County, much like other rural communities, has kind of a stain on its history in terms of racism and prejudiceness and a lack of diversity. And what we are trying to do on our farm and throughout the state is really bridge the gap between urban and suburban communities and rural communities, because I think we're stronger together. And I think when you can show people where their food comes from, for instance, they can understand the nutritious implications of what they're eating and how they're eating and where they get their food. But alongside of that too, we're welcoming guests from all over the spectrum in terms of faith backgrounds, cultures, races, and beliefs and practices. And so one of the things that we've been dealing with the last 2 months is we hosted a Muslim family that spoke a different language. And simply because we did that on our farm, we had a neighbor call us into the county, and we thankfully were fully compliant with all of the county issues because we work very closely with them. But it was a direct attack at what we're about, which is being inclusive and bringing people together. And so from where we sit, a lot of these rural communities have been kind of run by people that had assumed power because they had money and because they looked like everybody else that were around them, right? They believed the same thing and everything like that. And I think that our county is changing. And I think the best way that this community, Westminster, Carroll County, could help us is let's lead by example. People that have a heart of hate, wherever that came from, I don't know, and I'm sorry that they have that in their heart, but I think it'll change because of people leading by example, not just talking about it. So those people in our lives, it's difficult to deal with. We've had to go through the ringer on many things because of that, but they don't get the final word. And we think that love does, and that's why we continue to strive towards this goal of being an inclusive environment and welcoming these people to our farm, which I hope spreads then. I hope that theme spreads throughout the state. So, thanks for asking.
If there's no other I have a question if there's somebody else.
I do.
Yeah.
Where are you? Actually, I have a few.
Sure.
Where are you actually located, and the actual tourism part of the farm, is that a part of the fee for camping, or is that something that's scheduled separately?
Great question. Yeah, we're between Westminster and Tawnytown, and at this point, we only do tourism through HipCamp. So it's a third-party platform. You reserve it on the app. $1 million liability insurance policy is provided on both ends for the guest and us as a farm, which provides excellent protection. And then you get this really exclusive experience. So if you and your family wanted to come, or you and some friends, you would have basically access to the whole farm to be able to go into the fields, visit with the animals, and also just get outside and have a great experience. And so we don't do large-scale events at this point. We are hosting some gatherings, like with the Maryland Farm Bureau, to have discussions and networking events around this idea of agritourism, but we don't do large-scale events at this point.
But like with only allowing one family, one tent currently, obviously it's a little bit easier to do the tour of the farm with just the one family. But how does is that any different once you have, I think you said the 7 tents like the previous year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at that point we would add experiences to the farm stays.
Okay,
so
like a la carte or
exactly, you would add on, I'd like an hour tour of the farm, and it happens at this time on this day. And we would probably have kind of a situation with our John Deere and a hay wagon that we would take people throughout the farm and provide a hands-on experience. And what we found is it's extremely educational, because we're having a lot of people from urban communities come that are very unfamiliar with farm life, and they'll love to experience it. So that's where we hope to get to.
And we actually had a comment. I know, Russ, you have a second question, but okay. On Facebook, Billy Live from Wisdom Court, he says, I'd be interested in sitting down with you and helping bring more diversity into the mission on behalf of my network in Carroll County.
Thank you. So Billy's amazing. And I serve on the Westminster trustee board, and so we're huge fans of Billy and what you're doing. Billy, thanks for that, man. And they have the same mission, I know. So yes, that's a tremendous connection for sure.
And I just had a quick question about your. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Julius.
Well, so I was going through your site, and I noticed you have some really great events. But I'm curious how, if you have any events geared more towards providing clean water and things like that, because I think that I'm really astounded by that. That's great.
Thank you. We had one called Christmas Around the World last year that was scheduled in December, and it unfortunately became a victim of COVID just because Maryland was really cracking down at that time, and rightfully so. And so our family just deemed it unsafe to be able to do it, even though it was outdoors. We hope to bring it back around this year, though, but the whole idea was to have these stations throughout the farm that provided a hands-on educational experience for families to understand what it was like for like a child to go and access water, maybe in Kenya, for instance, where we do some work as well, and maybe do a water walk and have the kids carry the buckets and see how much water they actually have left when they get back. We had a camel scheduled to come, and we had like a chicken station where the kids would be able to go and hold some of our new chickens and everything. But then while they're at each station, as they learn about the needs globally, they would be able to actually fund it in these communities through Child Fund. And so that was the dream. We had it all planned out, marketed and everything, and then we had to cancel. So we're hoping that this year to bring it back around. That probably fully encompasses what we're about at the end of the day. Local farm, inviting people to the farm, inclusive environment, but then you're learning about all these global needs and then doing something about it. So great question, thank you.
And then I see you're an LLC. In terms of your corporate structure, are you intending to stay a private organization, or are you gonna, or I should say, a for-profit? Are you looking at becoming a nonprofit at some point? If for-profit, do you see what's your biggest vision on how this scales? Is there a franchise model, perhaps, that other farms can adopt that would be under sort of a Willet Family Farm umbrella?
Great question as well. We've explored the nonprofit because so much of what we do goes that way. We've often found ourselves as kind of the bridge builder. We're always in the middle of several entities like Hip Camp and Maryland Farm Bureau, or us and Young Farmers Coalition, us and Child Fund, for instance, right? So thus far, we've tried to be the for-profit so that we continue to make revenue we can pour it into these things that we love and believe in. At the same time, there may come a day, though, that it makes sense for us to be able to actually accept donations towards the work we're doing locally and globally. And so we have explored that. We've never talked about franchising, only because when we create a partnership or find out about a great resource, we're kind of like quick to give it away, I guess. Maybe that's not the best business model, I don't really know. But we really do believe in, especially the farm community in Carroll County. And so we don't hold anything tightly like it's our own. Like we want to be able to pass it along, connect with other people. I will say, like, because we're all multi-career right now, it's been this like major side hustle, which we joke about because it takes up all your time, and then your main career becomes your side hustle, you know. But your side hustle is where you make your money. Then eventually, like, so it's like it's this thing where we hope to all be able to do this full time one day. That would be the dream, I think. Yeah. Whatever allows us to do that is the model I think we would pursue, really.
Well, I was just thinking that if you remain for profit and you have a vision of scale beyond your own immediate farm, equity crowdfunding could be a really good option for you. I think it would lend itself to your mission and your, you know, and of course that's what Startup Portal's all about.
Yeah, we need to have a meeting.
Right, yeah. All right, well, Tina already asked what we can do for you as a community, which you've already answered. Is there anything else you guys?
I'm just curious what your side hustle is.
So I actually travel for Child Fund International and as a public speaker. And so I'll go and share stories like this. And we're heavy on media content. So the same way that we did drone flyers over our farm, we'll go into an impoverished community around the world and we'll film similar content and we'll sit down with the families. And for instance, when I was in Mozambique, that was a campaign for Child Fund to go and like live in that community for a whole month and just to be able to be entrenched in their lives, you know. And so I come back and raise money for Child Fund, primarily through musical events. So like in the fall, I'll go out on a world tour with this artist named Lauren Daigle, and she'll do her show.
Lauren loves Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren's awesome.
I put her to bed almost every night with a Lauren Daigle song.
Oh, cool! Yeah. She's great.
Yeah.
And the tour comes to I think Hershey.
Wow.
So maybe we should have your family come.
Oh yeah! Oh my god!
But honestly,
Literally, my daughter tries to dress like Lauren Daigle.
Really?
She like wears the scarf.
Eccentric. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's amazing. But I get up for 15, 20 minutes and share stories basically.
That's
and
awesome.
Hope to connect families in the U.S. with children living in poverty through sponsorship. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, we're at time. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to queue up our next presenter, Caitlin Graham here, and looks like we're all set. I'll just add real quick. Let's see if we have an example. Here's one. For our presenters, just so those of you on Facebook Live know, anyone who presents at 1 Million Cups gets a 1 Million Cups travel mug. We used to do ceramic mugs, but unfortunately we ran out. So we have the travel mugs now. If you attend 5 of these in a row, you get a travel mug. Attend 10 or more in a row, you get a t-shirt. So so be sure to let us know when you've attended 5 or 10 of these in a row. All right, so our next presenter is Caitlin Graham from My House. Caitlin, I'll let you take it away. There's your clicker. That's forward and that's backward.
Okay, I probably should have gone first over him. I haven't gone anywhere exciting, and I've never spoken in public before. I have just been at home raising my children for the last 16 years.
And you're killing it already.
I know already. So
that is no small undertaking.
Yes, it's my motivation.
Exactly.
So I am Katie Graham from My House, and I also wanted to add in there that I myself too, bored living in my tiny little neighborhood that I live in, started my own farm as well. My neighbors don't love us. We have goats and chickens in a little tiny residential neighborhood, so that's when my husband realized it was time for me to get out and do something. But so, we're My House, and our mission is we are taking an alternative approach to provide housing and supportive services for homeless youth and youth aging out of foster care. With the gracious help of volunteers to create, construct, and manage cost-efficient, tiny modular homes that together form a safe and stable community of youth reaching for the same goals in a forever family. We will provide a valuable life skills educational program accompanied with dignity, support, and encouragement to successfully transition youth into confident, independent, and thriving adults within our community, while most importantly ensuring that My House is home. So our vision would be a world where every child has the confidence, enthusiasm, support, and will the will to thrive instead of just survive, the skills and resources to successfully transition into thriving adults in society, and that no child will ever spend a night without a place to call home. And these are our children right here. So they are, our mission. I've been a foster parent for 7 years, and we just have recently closed our home after our third adoption. So we originally wanted to start fostering with older youth, but with our children being young at the time, we were recommended to go with the medically fragile younger children. So we had always had a passion for helping the older teens and youth. Once we were finished, through medically fragile foster care, you can only have a total of 6 kids in your home, or I would probably still keep going. So we could technically foster in Carroll County, but that's where this all came along. I mean, after lots of research and talking with the community, we realized a lot of issues and problems we were having there that we feel we would want to help first before considering that. So, some may know, but I'm not sure. It's from Dr. Wack, who was close friends with my mom, and the My House Inspiration with my mother, Karen Froley, driven by her extreme passion for the community, was the leader of the project and team that set up the Dove House, a very unique, personalized, and special Carroll hospice care facility that continues today. She would often say it is their house when referring to the families Carroll hospice served and their time spent at the Dove House. She was also a critical leader in the development of Access Carroll, helping to develop the first clinic operations, serving on the interim board of directors, and serving as the organization's first executive director. She was not only my hero, but she was my inspiration and all that I hope to be, and my drive to focus on my passion and to truly believe in my purpose and my mission to open the eyes of our community to ultimately imagine the unimaginable. And she was also honored in the Partnership for a Healthier Carroll County now calls the Community Champion Award after my mom's name. So she did lots of public speaking. I did not do that. So she was amazing, and she passed away 10 years ago. And I've been, working back and forth with people in the community, wanting to do something, and I always had a passion to help the Dove House and do things, but once I saw they're still doing great, and I thought maybe do, something that was my passion, but to still honor my mom and the community. So that's where my house came from, because my mom wanted the Dove House to seem like their house, not, in home or a hospice. She didn't want it to feel like a hospital. So that's kind of exactly what I want to do with our program for my house. So it is important to us. My mother passed away in 2010 after a battle with leukemia, and I just thought, I constantly was wondering how I could continue to carry on her legacy. I was an only child, believe it or not, and there was nothing I wanted more than a big family, so I know in my heart giving back to kids in need would honor my mother. So my husband and I became treatment foster parents for medically fragile children through Mentor Maryland, a private agency in Baltimore County. And then in July of last year, we virtually adopted our third child out of care to make our family a total of 8. So in our 7 years as foster parents, I've witnessed true miracles for children, but I've also had my eyes open to unknown population of vulnerable children who are facing a whole new world of trauma and care. The one place that was supposed to protect them and assure them safety and security from here on out, instead, they are rescued and then failed again by a faulty system. After years of research in our community, it's clear that the most vulnerable children in need of a solution are the homeless youth and the youth aging out of care. With community support, compassion, and collaboration, we can not only change the trajectory for these kids to a thriving future, but we can break the cycle and come together as a community to pursue a collective purpose that advances a greater good and a better tomorrow for our future generations. So these are all my kids, obviously, and they were 3 separate foster placements, and we didn't do a good job fostering. We adopted all the first 3 placements. So, and I pictured that was going to be my thing. That was our, new thing, but then I couldn't picture not adopting them. So it worked out especially in our favor, and then I kind of felt, what else can I do? We're a closed home. We can't take any more treatment foster children. So this was kind of a next step to help the kids after seeing such a need for it. So the big picture, this is an example. I've actually been working with a woman. I reached out to her in California from Finally Family Homes, and she has a tiny home Village for Youth, and she also she puts tiny homes on wheels, and that provides other families that, I mean, I get emails all the time, and especially just starting my Facebook page just recently, message all the time saying, I would love to be a foster parent, but I don't have the extra bedroom. I don't have the space. So she puts them on wheels, and that allows these families to get approved as foster parents still, but then they have their own space, and they can still come inside to socialize and eat and have dinner, but then they have their own space to go to as a teenager. So we will provide homeless youth and youth age out foster care with innovative transitional housing with a combination of self-built tiny homes, a common home community center, individualized life skills, job connections, continuing education, and mentor programs, while also ensuring that we tackle the other critical components to truly make a real difference by spreading awareness, recruiting foster parents and mentors, and continue to search for families to call their own no matter their age. So these are just some quick statistics, but every year, there's 20,000 children, depending on which state, age out of the system. Maryland did just raise the foster care limit during COVID to the age of 21, which is great because the big problem is these kids are 18 and most of us weren't even ready at 18, so they have no mentor to help provide the life skills to carry on in the community. So our county as a whole is severely lacking resources, not only to provide safe homes and housing for kids in care, but especially older youth aging out of care, and homeless youth in general. Carroll County only has an estimated 16 to 18 foster parents at any given time, of which usually less than half of those homes are willing to take children over the age of 13. Due to the lack of local resources, multiple children are placed out of county during what is already a traumatic experience and then taken from their community schools, relatives, and friends. Unaccompanied youth face many more challenges than youth who transition from a traditional supportive setting. This hidden population of youth typically do not have a supportive adult or mentor, the proper life skills to practically navigate the transition to adulthood, and therefore merely surviving instead of surviving. So our philosophy, I have been taking, for the last couple of years, I've been researching, trying to find ways of what's not working. Group homes aren't working, transitional living homes aren't working. So I started researching and reading tons of things about what the actual foster kids were saying. And I actually have a friend that reached out to me, and we've been close friends for 7 years now, that she was a child in foster care, and she now left her job of 30 years to start fostering. So we believe in the nothing about us without us approach. So we believe a youth-led organization and taking the nothing about us without us approach would empower youth to use their personally lived experiences to promote change in the system and communities by being authentic mentors, also known as valuable voices. With a team primarily made up of both present and previous foster youth and foster parents, social workers, children and youth advocates, CASAs, therapists, and dedicated community volunteers who simply share in our passion, combined with extensive and rigorous research, compilation, and outreach, we could create enough dialogue to conquer and reform inaccurate misconceptions, the lack of resources and funding, the lack of awareness and communication, biased communities, and the lack of priority, transparency, and response from the government. So we will aim to take a more innovative and a previously ignored approach. We believe in overcoming the negative stigma and stereotypes of transitional living and housing programs, which most counties and governments that I find, and I've actually been working with a lot of my past social workers that work for my kids, and the child advocate attorney that we have for our kids. They're super excited about this, and one was just placed on a crisis team to find options and homes for youth in Maryland. So after talking to them, we believe that, one main issue is that the transitional living homes and programs, you can start as many as you want, but there's no foster homes, there's no mentors, and no matter how old they are, they still want a home, they want a mentor, but the counties and states are funding these programs and these homes, and then no kids leave. The same kids stay there because there's still no resources for foster parents. So we believe in our sole purpose of creating a culmination of the most effective and innovative change for our future generations, expecting monumental breakthrough to put an end to youth homelessness in any capacity. This cannot possibly or effectively be conquered alone by any one solution. We are passionate about getting to the root of the crisis. So I just added in, how can the community help my house? We recently just started a Facebook page. So by liking, following, sharing, we have a couple fundraisers coming up. I'm actually doing a fundraiser, Billy Live. He's been awesome, amazing help to me. I saw his article in the newspaper, so I reached out to him, and we've been collaborating and coming up with lots of ideas. So collaboration, partnerships, volunteering, brainstorming, and networking, and it takes a village to raise a child. So this is our idea, and this is what we're working on, and we have a lot of people on board and really positive about it. So we're just now trying to spread the word and get it out in the community.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Katie?
I can try.
All right. Tina Thomas.
Thank you, Katie. You've been awesome in helping us understand what you're trying to accomplish. I guess the question that I have is, you said that the fostering and adopting that you did, you worked with someone out of Baltimore County, you live in Carroll County. Can you help us understand the challenges in Carroll County with fostering and adoption and why you had to go to Baltimore County? And then how many homeless youth do we have in our county or in our town in Westminster that are over 13? Help us understand the need out there.
The problem is that there's not many numbers to find. For one, right now, especially after the pandemic, there's a ton of children that should be in foster care that are not. My husband actually works in one of the middle schools in the BEST program, and we have a lot of friends that do a lot of things with youth in the community that wonder, how are these kids, not in it? We used to think, how are they not taking them? What's happening and why is this? But I actually have a friend who works as an investigator in Carroll County, and without saying it, flat out, it's just as hard for them because they have to pick and choose who they're taking because there's no resources. So Carroll County does send a couple hundred a year out of our community to other. I actually got my friend to start fostering at Mentor, Maryland in Baltimore County, and she has 2 Carroll County kids. 4 of her 5 placements have all been Carroll County kids from Baltimore County. So that's a huge problem, we think. They shouldn't have to leave their communities as well after going through such a traumatic experience. So we, for instance, I think one big huge thing that we want to accomplish is, the big problem is that these kids, once they're 18 especially, we would take kids, 16 to 21-ish, since they just added it, but we could do kids as young as 13, 14, but the problem with the kids turning 18 is finding ways to get them to stay in the program or want to come back to the program. Because once they're 18, they don't have to be in it, and to be in it until 21, they have to be working 20 hours a week or a full-time student, which is great also, but social services is the enemy to them. So a lot of them don't want to be in social services anymore. They feel they can do it on their own. So I've actually been following another program in California who offers incentives for the kids to come fill out a survey, and if they stay, they get another incentive, and that's what kids want. But the problem is the youth in the community are the hardest to find. They're the hardest to get numbers for because they don't want to be found. It counts for couch surfing, it counts for on the street, staying with a friend, anything. So we don't have a lot of numbers because they don't want to be put back in the system. So it's trying to find a way to encourage them. Now in Mentor, Maryland, we got incentives for taking a medically fragile child or a behavioral youth. So I reached out to Carroll County a few times and said, they're very confused of why every time they went to someone's house, they said they wanted someone 3 and under. Well, because that's, the easiest. Everyone wants 3 and under. So, but they don't offer incentives. So, everybody needs incentives, especially in this time. People can barely afford to keep their own houses running than to take in another child. So we have all kinds of plans for each one of these issues, but we also, another huge thing that we really want to stress is a sibling program. We want to do like a sibling outreach system. We're calling it SOS. It's cool because they actually just made a Disney movie about that, where the boy got a college scholarship and took his little brother and hid him in the dorm room because they didn't want to be separated. So that's another thing that makes them not stay in care, because they don't want their siblings to go somewhere else and be all placed separately. So we want to do something to make sure that they can still be independent and get their life skills and also raise their siblings, but they can be assured that their siblings will be taken care of and they can see them and be a part of their life, and maybe almost their foster parents be a mentor to them or something. So we have lots of ideas, and every time Kristen Smyer run everything by her, but I usually have 50 slides and all this stuff because there's just so many easy changes we can make quickly and easily. So we have a lot of ideas, and we have a lot of people from the community and from the welfare system and everything all working with us, and they're all very excited about this.
Katie, thank you for what you do, by the way. Our family's built through international adoption, so just super love what you're doing. My question is, when do you want to build a tiny home village on our farm? Let's go, right? Let's go. That's all I got.
That's all. We'll have a meeting.
Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you need to raise money to buy property, presumably, unless there's somebody who can help with that and build the tiny homes, right?
Yes.
And is that more cost efficient than buying an old building and renovating it and turning it into apartments?
Well, there's lots of room for partnerships, considering Habitat for Humanity and a couple different things. And we actually saw one, it depends, but the tiny home communities are really picking up across the United States for homeless in general. One, Lowe's actually donated a whole bunch of shed kits to one homeless community. So as far as the cost, I think it will allow way more children to be in it. As far as running a building or a home, and those exact same kids sit there, no one's cycling through. So this will allow for multiple tiny homes. We would want the kids to be a part of building it, then they can learn skills and set up, internships and different things to learn skills to build their own homes. So there's lots of different options to go with that. So we just are hoping to collaborate with lots of people from the community. I mean, from volunteers with contracting, reaching out to Lowe's and Home Depot and for supplies. So we have a lot of options.
And do you have an entity set up yet for my house as a nonprofit? Or
so I'm actually through I'm not patient, so I went through the community foundation. They were great. So, everyone been putting this off for years, just taking notes and watching, and I actually got shut down years ago from DSS while we were fostering, and Maryland DSS actually told us if we were that passionate about the kids that maybe foster care wasn't for us.
Oh,
so that just pushed me harder.
Wow.
So I just kept going. So but we waited to take any steps until we were done fostering. So.
And what does it mean to be a closed house? You said you're a closed house.
So we were a closed home through when you're in treatment foster care. You can only have up to 6 kids.
So I can go off and have as many kids as I want biologically, but you're limited to 6 kids?
Yes, well, and especially through that. They do, when you're with treatment foster care, I could only work outside the home up to 20 hours a week. We have 3 medically fragile children. One has autism, one has cerebral palsy, and one's on a feeding tube. So we're constantly at doctor's offices and spending time all over. So it was hard, but I feel like I could keep going, and I'm out of the baby stage, but we think we could do the older youth, and and that's a problem for me too. And I've always thought I think it should be more case by case, because there's kids that need homes and they can, and especially so many people reaching out to us saying, because the kids can't share a bedroom, no foster kids can share a bedroom. It's their own bedroom unless they're siblings of the same sex. So, it's there. So many things that need to be done and could be done, exceptions made, so that more people are able to. But you see a lot of people that either tackle the transitional living or the group homes, or they tackle the awareness and recruiting. But unless you do them both, it's never going to change. Nothing's ever going to cycle through or make a change. So, we'll see.
Did I hear you say that you do have people who are stepping up to say, I will foster, but I don't have the room, and so these tiny houses potentially could fill that gap to help them, to enable them?
Yeah,
to-
so that's in our FAR plans, which, I've been told to narrow my stuff down. I'm always all over the place.
Oh, no,
But
good picture here, hon.
I have multiple ideas for different ways to be able to recruit foster parents, and not to mention, putting a face behind it. I mean, I didn't really even know about foster care around our community before we fostered. I knew one foster child growing up in high school. I knew all the time we get, you guys are foster parents? There's foster children around here? I mean, there's no awareness about it in our community. No one really knows anything about it. So it's a simple thing. I mean, just to even put a face behind it, and foster care gets negative feelings a lot too, both sides, the foster parents, foster kids. But I think if people in the community could see us doing something and that fostering changed our lives in a way to where we want to keep going and keep doing this, that maybe other people would be encouraged to do it too. So we have lots of plans though.
Is there funding for My House through the state, through the foster care system?
So yeah, so if they are, so that's why we, I really want to stress the fact that we do want to do homeless children. They don't have to be in the system, were in the system. With My House, if we start with the children in the system, yes, they will get funded through the state, but there's lots of other options, because our goal, period, once we run any homeless youth, then would be to set them up with medical assistance and all the stuff they needed. And if my mom's starting Access Carol, we would love to eventually hopefully partner possibly with them to get them all health care. And a lot of them aren't getting any regular health care and don't have insurance and aren't taking care of that as the last one of priority. So there's lots of ways. We've talked to a couple in the community about possible apps and like mentor apps where people could sign up if they want to foster. They could sign up to be a mentor for the children, and kind of like a Pinterest type style where they would help keep them accountable, and they could teach with money, remind them of upcoming appointments or interviews and things like that. So we had talked about possibly doing like an entrepreneur type thing, teaching these kids leadership skills and everything. It would be great for them. We thought about a possible app, maybe setting up local community to where it's almost like a Tinder, but for jobs with kids in the community for older youth, so that they could set up like internships or jobs in the community. So there's lots of ways to go. I mean, the possibilities are endless. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It's so hard to narrow it down.
Do you know Katie Kirby?
Yes.
She's so
She's
passionate
watching
about,
on Facebook.
Oh,
Live.
good. She's so passionate about homeless in our
I
community
know,
as
yes,
well.
so I've
so-
spoken with her also. Yes, and we've all kept in touch and been working.
Awesome.
All right, well, we have time for like one, maybe two questions. I think we wrap up. It's 9:53. Anybody else? Do you want to introduce us to your other
Yes,
compatriot?
I do. This is Kristen Simmer. We went to St. John's together.
We've known each other since we were 5, and Katie reached out to me probably 6 or 8 months ago, and for 90 minutes talked at me about this huge idea she had, right? So I literally am just here for moral support. This is all Katie. I'm just telling her, you can do it. You can do it. So it's all Katie.
So, and then, do you have any kind of other people helping you, like at the community? You mentioned the community center.
So we are working with a couple people in the community.
Foundation.
In the community, I'm through the community foundation.
Right.
So, but I'm working with lots of people around the community right now, just collaborating, and we just doing things like this and talking to lots of people. We have a couple things in the works right now, so we're just trying to get a game plan and get our name out there, and hope to get the community on board and everyone's support.
Excellent. Well, we see how we can. You already answered our
Yes.
last question of how we can help you. So yeah, everyone, be sure to go on her. Is it My House? Is that the Facebook page? If you just search My House.
I went on and liked it, and I feel the what's the word? The inspiration from your mom and the logo, right?
Oh,
Yeah. That's awesome.
And are you aware of Hey Westminster?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great, because I would hope that you would apply for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just give you the check right now.
Yeah. All right. All right, well, if that's it, thank you very much, Katie. All right, well, I guess I'll just wrap it up for those on Facebook Live. Thank you guys for joining us. We're still testing this out. Maybe we'll keep doing Facebook Live. Maybe we'll go back to like some sort of Zoom function if that's better for all of you who are virtual. Thank you to everybody else here in the room today for coming out to Startup Portal. Thanks, of course, to Startup Portal, Rick Leinbach and his team. For hosting, if you have any equity crowdfunding needs or outsourced CFO needs, Rick is your guy. Can't recommend him more highly. Of course, thanks to the Magic team for coming out today to help me with this. Kim Samuelson and getting our live streaming set up. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the Genie Bird coffee, and thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.